Hello. It's all a bit blurred. Let's see if I can find a better way of doing this. This is a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, that's a bit better. Hello, everybody from Moscow, and yet another day of tears, depression, happiness, sadness, and all those things that football produces. We need to touch on Argentina, perhaps first. Pro gamer, you start very early, but yes, quality is what's needed, or in whatever other way. Anyway, Argentina. The first thing to say is that two figures, and I wonder what you think of it. Sampaoli has been in charge 13 games and has put in on the pitch 13 different lineups. He's used 59 players. 59 players. Does that tell you like he knows what he's doing, as in what idea he's got to put on the pitch? One thing is to give layers to a team, so when they don't respond to one idea, they put on practice another one. But what he's doing is constant coins in the air. I've had a look at where he's been and what he's done, and I saw Sampaoli that Universidad de Chile played in a way that gave him success that had to do with counter-attacking football, mostly. With Chile, in the pre-Lillo, Juanma Lillo being his assistant for the last part of the Chile period, before Lillo, it was all about intensity in everything that they did. And he convinced the Chilean players to do that because perhaps they didn't consider themselves superstars. So he convinced them that was the way to do things. I expected that from Argentina, plus what he added in the second part of the Chile period with Lillo. More association football, more passing football, more dominating with the ball, more everybody attacking and everybody defending. It was a wonderful Chile. But then he went to Sevilla, and in Sevilla, I'm not convinced, and I don't think Sevilla is, of what he was trying to do. It seemed like, again, with Lillo in charge, it seemed like it was a team that wanted to control football and use the pace of the forwards as well for quick transitions. Both things, a bit of everything. It all started with an amazing game against Espanyol. Was it 6-4 or something crazy? And you thought, right, this is going to be an interesting experiment. Eventually, in the second half of the season, the team went down, but it was the lack of idea, perhaps, what was more worrying. He goes to Argentina, and in the 13 games he's been in charge, I just don't know what he's tried. You see Brazil, and we'll talk about Brazil later, you see Brazil and they've got an idea, they only change 2 or 3 players depending on the rival, or Spain as well. With its up and downs, and a Spain that at the moment represents 2 different ways of playing, but more or less the team is done. That creates little associations, that creates relationships within the team, that creates obligations and responsibilities shared. But with Argentina, it's just, we don't know what he's trying to do. Started with 3 at the back, having started with 4 the previous game. The idea, of course, was to put 2 wing backs, but they weren't really wing backs. Acuna, I didn't see him going forward that much in wide positions, and then he changed to 4 in the second half. Quite clearly, the combination Mascherano-Biglia in the first game didn't work, but he kept Mascherano. And I admire the person. I think Mascherano, at this level now, he struggles. And the idea was to get the ball to Messi in a good condition. That means that when he gets to Messi, he's got at least 1v1 to sort out, or there is some kind of a space. But there was none of the sort. The passing was so slacking. In fact, it didn't start too badly, but from the moment they concede, you could see a team that didn't know what to do. And a lot of people are blaming Caballero and the mistake. And certainly was a huge mistake, and one that you have to blame him. And as Simeone said in the famous audio, I don't know if you got hold of it. There's an audio which is like a WhatsApp message that he was sending to Monoburgos, that he sent to Monoburgos. According to Argentinian media, is a real one, and I hear the voice and it sounds exactly like Simeone. And he was saying, you know, what a shame that in a friendly against Spain and I think Italy, Caballero made mistakes. Remember, he hadn't played with the national side before March. And Simeone says, actually, if those were goals conceded because of him, people will realize that. I think I'm back. Sorry about that. Sometimes the Wi-Fi in Moscow is a little bit iffy, comes and goes. So I'm back. Anyway, Caballero, again, great professional, but you wonder if Franco Armani, who had such a great season at River, wouldn't be a better choice than even Sergio Romero before he got injured, and Caballero, who hadn't played regularly in the Premier League. So with that in mind, it's not all about the mistake of the player. It's about how you react to obstacles, what makes the team strong. And to be honest, nobody reacted, nobody rebelled. That's another part of the conversation of Simeone with Monoburgos. Well, conversation, the message in WhatsApp message, in which he says, well, and now they'll be fighting in the changing rooms. Well, you hope they are fighting in the changing room. Somebody's got to lead this. And to be honest, the way that Kun Agüero responded to a question that had venom from the journalist, in which he said, Sampaoli has said in the press conference that the project didn't work. Actually, he was talking about the project of the game, the idea that he had for the game. But the journalist didn't add the second part. He just said to Kun Agüero, Sampaoli has said that the project didn't work, to which Kun Agüero responded, whatever he says, it doesn't matter what he says, kind of thing. There is a division. There is not enough confidence in Sampaoli because they tried so many things. There is frustration that has even been noticed because now, of course, even the pictures are being analyzed. There's a picture of Caballero next to him. Messi, Caballero is like with his eyes closed, and Messi is like with his, like this, with his hand in his face. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure, but the problem is you don't sort things out in just one game. Yes, it'll be fantastic for Argentina, for Messi fans. If actually he scored a hat-trick against Nigeria that takes Argentina to the next round, and then he just, does a superhuman performance that takes him to the final. Do you know what? He's already done that. He already did that 4 years ago. And he wasn't appreciated at the time because the end of that story is that in extra time, Germany beat Argentina. But I think realizing that without much ingredients, you cannot create a good meal, even if you have the most delicious meat. Say Messi, needs things around him. And I think everybody's aware now that everybody's seen Argentina in the World Cup that they're not there. That includes the coach as well, of course. That's another thing that Simeone said in those words to Monoburgos, in which he was saying players are not 90% of what happens on the pitch. I imagine he leaves 10% for luck and referees and other stuff. And he more or less said that 60%, that's when things go wrong, you realize how important the coach is in terms of how the preparation was, or the decisions in the lineup, or the reaction to a bad game during the game itself. The importance of the coach is about 30%. And he was blaming Sampaoli as much as the players. Yes, if you're actually gonna have Messi enjoying football, you need things like players around him that understand the game in the same way. Banega, Dybala. There's a lot of stories about Dybala not being wanted by Messi. I can tell you that Messi himself has said, I always want the best players next to me. Dybala is a good player. But he feels completely out of it now because Sampaoli has left him out, even openly saying, we have used him and we haven't got the best out of him. Not the best way to direct the group. Anyway, as you can imagine, in Argentina, the criticisms are just huge. This is the 4th World Cup for Messi, one final. And of course, he's been compared to Maradona, who won the World Cup and who will never, ever miss a pass ever again. So we'll remember the best out of him, who won one World Cup in 4 tries. So not that far. And then, of course, there is the whole Ronaldo-Messi thing. And I can give you stats from the whole season in which it shows you that Messi has scored more goals, has assisted more, has been more influential. But it doesn't matter in the eyes of the main public, of the average punter, because of course what they're seeing now is 2 games in which to decide which one's better. Football doesn't work like that. But anyway, we dealt with that in the past. Argentina have got a serious problem, and it's a miracle what they need. And of course, they will have to face it, and especially in the second half today against Iceland. They show they've got spark, they've got pace. Musa was fantastic. That second goal, the second goal of Musa, if you have the opportunity to watch it, the ball gets to him. His first touch is fantastic. Puts it right with the right pace, the right weight, in the right place. The second touch allows for Musa to run in front of the defender. So the defender now is behind and has to foul him, or he can the goalkeeper and see where he puts it in. Fantastic, brilliant. I think it was Tom Williams, one of the English journalists that I follow, saying that this is the kind of goal that makes kids excited about the World Cup and about football in general. Really nice tweet, because yes, that's what he felt. But it wasn't just him. Iwobi, was Obi Mikel, Iheanacho. There was a lot of quality. Victor Moses. There was a lot of quality. Not so much in the kind of quality that goes into YouTube, dribbles, but in the ability to keep the position and to combine and to finally create superiorities in wide areas, or at least 1v1s, which then they tried to beat the Icelandic defenders. There was a lot of that. There was a team effort there, and it's going to be very difficult for Argentina that is slow. That with 3 at the back or with 4 at the back, there are weaknesses, with a goalkeeper lacking in quality, not so much quality in confidence, and with a Messi that he doesn't know where to participate right now. Because when eventually the ball got to him, he was surrounded by players. So he didn't shoot on target, and he touched the ball less than Caballero, a stat that you probably have seen. I think Caballero had 38 passes and he had like 30 or something, Messi. Not great. You have to create the best way to describe Messi, or what Messi needs, is what Pep Guardiola said, which was make him happy. Make him happy means have players around him that make him play well, and he helps them play well. So that to be sorted in one game. So it just doesn't feel it's going to happen. But we'll see. Brazil doesn't have. They may win. They may beat Nigeria. It doesn't feel like basically Argentina can take or get to the next level. France, on the other hand, with Kanté, Modri, and Pogba, it's a team that in the midfield don't create enough, but they've got so much quality up front that they score. And once they score, they drop deep. It's not great. It's not brilliant. I still feel that they can show more, and they will show more. Peru had moments of brilliance. Peru has become, with Morocco, perhaps the team of the tournament for the neutrals. They really go for it. Even Iran. And let's see what they do with Portugal. I think they could actually damage Portugal somehow, at least scare them. Anyway. That's a France that I think they will improve. I've got the impression that once it gets to the knockout stage, you see a France that are able to do more. I want to think that way because there's a lot of quality there. But when you get Matuidi on the left-hand side of the midfield, as he did play in some parts, it's like choices made to defend, to think conservatively. I still think there is so much level that you may see finally the Mbappe-Griezmann combination working. It's a good idea to have Giroud there as 9, so Griezmann and Mbappe as well can work around him. For Brazil, it was a game of 2 halves, really. You've seen it. I'm sure you have. If not, I'll just point out to you that in the first half it was all too slow, far too slow. You've got in Paulinho and Casemiro a combination in midfield that didn't do that well. It was of course Guillem there, and it was Coutinho. Didn't know what his role really was, and Neymar started getting really nervous, trying to make everything out of his moves, protesting for everything, going down. A lot of things that didn't allow him, and it happens often, to focus on his performance. So Coutinho's a midfielder. I completely agree, and I said that from the beginning when he went to Barcelona, and Barcelona knows that anyway. But he's not a midfielder. But then something happened in the second half. The team went further up the field with Douglas Costa. There was a new threat. Coutinho getting the ball in the last third and moving the team around. But they don't have a how do they call it? It's like a Pirlo, a Xavi, a midfielder that can doesn't have to be the holding midfielder. They can be in front of Casemiro, but who knows when to. A Modric, you know what I mean? Somebody that can run the side. They don't have that. Jorginho, actually, they have him, but he plays for Italy because he wasn't considered good enough for Brazil. So he ended up he's going to City, as you know, but he's ended up playing for Italy. But that's the kind of player that he can control games a little bit. Anyway, a lot of tension. Neymar just kept trying the impossible, but at least he had the personality to get the ball, and with Coutinho to start trying things. He had that opportunity, of course, in which he swerved a little bit far away from the bar, but it could have gone in. Eventually, of course, in extra time, they managed to get the 2 goals that leaves Costa Rica out of the World Cup. And then Neymar cried. He says he cried because of happiness, because of, what did he say? Because of happiness, what's the word he used? The improvement and there's another word. But anyway, he was trying to say that it's a positive kind of crying. But I saw there was a kid crying because of tension. So much tension. Of course, he was involved in the VAR incident, in the penalty. He went down far too easily, and he was rightly corrected by VAR. You know my thinking of VAR, the ones that follow me. I just think that football is life is football, and life is full of errors and mistakes, and how you overcome those mistakes is what makes you grow as a person. But VAR, do not eliminate mistakes, do not eliminate controversies. So what's the point? Leave the errors. It's part of the game. This is a game. But okay, now that it's here, at least it should be used to correct mistakes like that one, and it leaves everybody happy. Obviously, Brazil cannot protest. Quite clearly, it wasn't a penalty, so it wasn't given. It should have been given, and Costa Rica was happy about that. And those that defend technology will point it out as clearly as a positive on VAR. But the tension was so massive. Brazil is a country, as you know, that live for football, and Neymar, it's what everybody's focusing on, and he hasn't got the physique to impress in the way that he would like to. So I think he feels frustrated. Quite clearly, after having been out for, 3 months, he's not sharp in the way that he would like to be. I'm sure he's got a lot of pains, and so he sometimes looks like he's limping a little bit. But meanwhile, what you've got is Brazil with now 4 points, and the possibility, of course, of going to the next round as top of that table. That's that. There is more. There is England and Spain that we'll need to talk about in the next YouTube live, which will be at some point. But yeah, meanwhile, let me tell you a couple of things about what's happening here. Been all day in trying to sort out. I've lost my phone, right? So when you lose your phone, you actually your phone is like a building. I thought of that walking the streets of Moscow. It's like a building that you put all the stones, and you put the balconies with the lovely flowers, and you painted it, and everything is in order. Everything is brilliant as you have it. When you lose it, it's like you have to build another one, but very quickly, because meanwhile, everybody expects you to respond to things. And of course, because I've lost the phone, was the SIM card as well, which means that I don't have a SIM card that links me to my WhatsApp. And we all work with WhatsApp now. So I've got another phone, another SIM card, and I'm telling everybody that I've lost the phone. And now they all get in touch little by little. We depend so much on technology, don't we? So all day in, but tomorrow I'm going to a game. But because I haven't had a look at the calendar yet, I couldn't tell you which game it is yet. But anyway, that's the tracking app. I've downloaded that. If you want to hear the whole mess of the situation, it's quite funny, in a non-funny way. Now, those of you that want to hear about football, you can go now. I'm just going to moan a little bit. So I leave it in the Uber taxi, right? But it's fine because Uber sends you an invoice, a receipt. But the receipt never arrived. Okay, you can go into the app. The problem with the app is that to certify that it's you going to the app, it asks you for, it sends a text message to your phone, but I've lost it. There's a way of doing it through the browser. I go into the uber.com or whatever it is, and then I find out that there is no receipt. That I've got receipts for every trip I've done with Uber ever, apart from that one. And yes, a Samsung Galaxy S9, and I tracked it and disappeared from 1:30 yesterday. So it's gone. My fault, partly, but it's annoying that it just... And then, of course, what happens is a lot of the apps that you want to go into, or a lot of the things that you need to go into, they need to send a text message to your phone that you don't have. So, anyway, that's that for now. It's a Friday. I'm going to watch the rest of the Serbia game, and I think I'm going out. Just it's humid today, it's hot, and I deserve myself to get out of this flat. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Now, as always, I need to remember how to do this. Is it here? Yes, it's here. Bye.